is over, and as you can see from the intro, we're going to talk about Where the Crawdads Sing. So, this is a 2018 coming-of-age murder mystery novel written by an American author, Delia Owens. So, before anything else, just a quick overview. In this book, we follow the life of Kaya Clark. So, this girl, Kaya, living in a marsh and being abandoned by her mother and eventually all of her family members at a very young age shaped her into what she is in the present. Being alone and different from the people living outside her comfort was also became the reason why she was treated poorly and even accused to a murder of a known person in town. And actually, if you're going to ask me about my favorite book, this is for sure included on my list. I read this during the lockdown because of the pandemic, and I really have no clue about what to expect from this book at all. It just happened that I kept seeing this on Bookstagram and BookTok. Basically, just on Instagram and TikTok, but book related. So, yeah, I've also decided to buy or to order one for myself, and that's it. I read it, and it was so good, and I liked it. And just a fun fact, I have a Bookstagram account, and I've also posted there a very short review or my insights about this novel, and the author herself, yes, the author herself commented on my post, and this is what she said. Thank you so much for your beautiful and insightful comments about Where the Crowded Sing and with a heart emoji. Wasn't it great? Anyway, although the development of the story was kind of slow at the beginning and the language at the start was kind of hard for me to understand because the setting alternates from 1950s to 1970s, it was still worth it, and I think being completely clueless about the plot of the story really helped a lot for me to be fascinated and engaged from the happenings from time to time. And those were just the minor issues I had with the book, and I didn't hate it for those because the slowness of the progress actually made me love the book even more, and because the description or like the detailed narration of the story was actually one of the highlights. As I was reading, I felt like I was immediately transported on the marsh as it vividly describes what the setting looks like. The narration of Kai's life made me feel like I was really there witnessing all her hardships and achievements, loneliness and happiness, and of course, her survival from the cruel society. The infusion of the poems and process also adds color to the book, and in fact, it has a major role in uncovering the truth at the end of the story. So, I guess I'll just read one or two poems written in the book. So, those were just a few poems in the book, and there's a lot more if you read this Where the Crawdads Sing. Since I dived into the book blindly, I didn't expect that the ending would be that shocking, and not being totally exposed from mystery books, it helped me to be just naive all throughout. So when the revelations unfold, I was like, okay, did that really happen? I even go back to the previous pages just to make sure that my understanding didn't fail me. And yeah, the ending was the best part for me because, spoiler alert, I never thought that Kaya Clark, the protagonist, was the real culprit behind the killing of the man named Chase Andrews. And I couldn't say if it's better because Kaya's lawyer, her lawyer, was able to prove that she is not guilty. And I also couldn't say that we should justify her actions, but in the same way, we cannot somehow blame her because that guy, Chase Andrews, really did a horrible thing to Kaya. And even Kaya's husband only discovered that his wife was the murderer after a long time, and like when they're already old and Kaya's already dead. So, right, like seriously, how the puzzle pieces were connected, totally amazing. Thumbs up, approved. The characters involved in the life of Gaia were also intriguing and interesting. There are some that will get into your nerves and will frustrate you, but of course there are some that will grow close to your heart. And apart from Gaia, there's these characters who I really admire, and they are Jumping and Mada. So they are the couple who helped, cared, supported, and believed Gaia even though they aren't blood related. Looking on the background of the author, it tells a lot how she was able to weave a piece with such clarity regarding on the nature imagery and biological references because Delia Owens, she is a zoologist and a wildlife scientist, so this really explains why her book is filled with a lot of environmental knowledges, ideas, and connections. And moreover, if we look on the feminist lens, we'll see how Kaya's gender affected her all throughout the story. So she was raised in a family where her father abused her along with her siblings and mother, and being, set in the 60s, being a woman with no proper education, she was discriminated and being looked down by the people around her, and the opportunities she had was also minimal and lacking, but gratefully, with the help of other people, she was able to still find ways for her career, and they saw what Kaya's capable of. And however, if Kaya was a man in the novel or in the story, her life would be totally different. Maybe not the best, but I guess it is more bearable, and people wouldn't take advantage of her, and how she wants to pursue her career would be easier. So Kaya, she broke the stereotype about the people who didn't have an access to education in proper school, not only for women but for all genders, and she proved that she can still find solace in her home, yet still needed others to make her achievements come true. And lastly, it is also interesting to view the story in a psychoanalytical approach because Kaya's actions were all rooted from her childhood experiences, how she was left by her family, how she was failed by the people she had met and isolated from the real world. Her trust was greatly affected, which leads to her decisions and actions as she grew up. Where the Crowded Sing also reminds me of one of the classics that I also finished reading, which is To Kill a Mockingbird. So I have To Kill a Mockingbird here. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. So To Kill a Mockingbird also focuses on one of the social issues, the same with Where the Crowded Sing, and that is discrimination. Both of the books also have a court scene or court drama where the lawyer has to prove that they aren't guilty of the committed crime. And this is also a great book. This has a lot of lessons, and you can read this after reading Where the Crowded Sing. And also, this is somehow similar to Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is also a classic, which tackles the life of an orphan who had a terrible childhood but was still able to succeed in her own path because of what she had and because of her attributes. So I really have a thing about coming of age stories, and that is the reason why I also love Jane Eyre and why Jane Eyre is also included on my one of all-time favorite books. Apparently, I couldn't see Jane Eyre on my bookshelf because I remembered that I lent it to my classmate. But yeah, these three books are really great, so you can try reading all of this, but you have to, I guess, read the Where the Crowded Sing first. And yeah, going back to Where the Crowded Crawdads sing, it made me realize that each one of us grew in different environment, yet it doesn't mean that we need to treat others differently just because he or she doesn't fit to what is acceptable to us. And this sums up why I chose this book for our today's video. So I'll definitely recommend this book to everyone because it will enlighten you to a lot of different perspectives in human behaviors, plus the enjoying, painful, and thrilling emotions it can offer while reading the book. And as you can see here, my annotation said it all, so try reading this one. And by the way, the movie adaptation of this book was already released just this year, and Taylor Swift also wrote a song about this, and the one that you have seen and heard from the intro, that's the trailer, and the song entitled Carolina. So yeah, I guess that's it for our today's video, and I hope that you really enjoyed listening about my thoughts and insights about where the crowd sing, and tell me if you also read this and let's talk about it. So bye.